Light up your fire.
Your jaw tightens first, then the throat, then the breath that was full a second ago goes shallow right before you speak. That's not your nerves or a lack of language ability. It's actually your multilingual nervous system bracing when authorship feels threatened. I'm Roxana Fiamma, and I work with multilingual leaders on exactly this, the somatic pattern that hijacks your voice under pressure before a single word leaves your mouth. Because multilingual leadership pressure is a cognitive and somatic load that triggers a protective pattern, a protective speaking pattern in your subconscious. And not many people talk about this enough. For many multilingual leaders, pressure in high stakes moment shows up as subtle contractions in the body that trigger specific reactions. For example, editing yourself while you're speaking, or meaning that narrows mid sentence before delivery. And this is what happens to authorship when legitimacy feels conditional. Part of your system is speaking, and another part is scanning the room, reading faces, checking for signals around the room, gauging whether you are being received the way you intended or not, because of course you care about your credibility, the way you present yourself. And that split between the you that's speaking and the part that's watching itself speak costs something to your system. So there's a fraction of you that never gets fully expressed in what you're saying. And so you're present and monitoring at the same time. And that's a dilution of energy. The audience, whoever is in front of you, may not be able to name it, but they can feel that gap. But what if you could reclaim that fraction of you? What if your voice could carry your vision fully across rooms and languages? I'd like to invite you to a free 20-minute Lingosomatica diagnostic based on my methodology. It's a conversation to locate where that pattern lives for you. It's also an opportunity to gain a deeper understanding of the work involved. After that, whether or not we'll continue to work together, you'll have gained new insight about yourself as a communicator. If you feel the call, the link is below. As I was saying, for multilingual leader, this load is heavier because it's not just about language. It's about carrying two worlds in your body, the words that you speak and those you don't. And that constant translation of the self. There's often extra processing in your nervous system, like social evaluation and micro contractions. As I was saying, the jaw, the throat, the diaphragm. Next time that happens, feel that for a moment. Pause for a second. The jaw is where we hold what we haven't said. The throat is where the voice either opens or closes. The diaphragm, the very instrument that carries the sound out of our body, tightens. And therefore, the breath, which was full a moment ago, gets shallower. None of this is visible to anyone in the room, but everyone feels it, including yourself, of course. And your voice carries the evidence of it, whether you intend that or not. And so language becomes the surface where all this shows up, even when language isn't the real issue, because you're pretty fluent. But nonetheless, you're still speaking a second language or a third, and you must remember your system has more things to process. And so often that pressure is real, is not just an unconscious trigger like the imaginary tiger that puts you into fight or flight mode before a public speaking engagement. Authority can be questioned more easily because of that, for real, and your competence can be misread. So, yes, your body is right to be cautious. And research on multilingual workplace participation documents something specific here that backs it up. When an idea is delivered with an accent or with the hesitation that of someone speaking in a second language, it's often processed differently by the people listening. It's perceived less fluidly, which means that what is being said is less trusted. So a mother tongue colleague saying the same thing in a meeting, it may be delivered in the same way, but the reception is different. And you know this. You may have sat in meetings there with someone with more native fluency repeating the same ideas, but was heard differently. And you sat there watching your own thoughts coming back to you, rephrased by someone else and credited to them. Studies on multilingual meetings call this participation asymmetry, which is usually not a malicious thing. It's structural, a product of a conversational speed and radical confidence. This is what researchers call linguistic privilege, which is when an idea gains traction because the native voice carrying it did. That's not paranoia. That's a real dynamic. And the body knows this, even before the mind has finished processing it. That's why it tries to protect it. The work is not pretending that it doesn't exist. It's about what happens to your authorship in response to all that, because you may not control external situations, but you can always control your response. Sovereignty is not simply about confidence. It's about letting external conditions decide your internal posture. And that distinction matters. Confidence is often described as something you either have or you don't, something to project, to perform. Internal posture is different. That's where your relationship to what you're saying in real time is established. And this is the name of the game here. We're learning to stand the ground, and it's whether that ground under your own words feels solid to you, regardless of what's happening around you. So let me ask you this question. Can you stay yourself while conditions around you invite you to disappear into a role? It's not something to correct, it's something to notice. And that's what makes all the difference at the foundation. If you're recognizing something in what I'm describing and you're interested to know more, subscribe to the channel. I explore this crucial aspect of communication every week on the Sovereign Voice here on YouTube. For now, just stay with what you noticed. I see you next time.